Hi, welcome to the second episode of the Balanced Hormones Empowered Women podcast. I'm Abby Vallejo, your host. I am a holistic licensed healthcare practitioner. I'm a registered dietitian, certified health coach, and personal trainer. And what I do is I teach women of all ages how to align their diet, their lifestyle, and their exercise with their hormones in order to unlock their most vibrant health. So this is a feminine-based approach. And basically what I do is I have a framework and coach around the framework of balancing hormones, repairing metabolism, losing weight, and getting toned. So basically, where did this come from, right? So if you've heard of cycle syncing before, this is a term that was coined by functional nutritionist Alyssa Vitti. Back in 2014, she wrote a book called Women Code, where she introduced the idea that women are hormonally different at different times of the month. And so since then, numerous leading edge women healthcare practitioners on the leading edge have really grabbed onto this and run with it, and for good reason. So why is this so necessary? First of all, so we have to determine that we're metabolically and physically and hormonally different than men. For a long time, we've kind of been treated as just small men, but that's really not accurate. Our hormones are completely different. And even though we do share some testosterone like men have, we go through 4 different phases every month as women. And so these 4 phases, and of course, one of them is a period, right? So it's, estrogen or menstruation is phase 1. Then phase 2 is ovulation. Phase 3 is a dip phase, and phase 4 is progesterone phase. Now, basically, if you've studied any of the natural sciences and you've studied the menstrual cycle and women's hormones, they're usually divided into the follicular phase, which is about the first 2 weeks of the month, and the luteal phase, which is about the last 2 weeks of the month. So basically, we as women, we're going through these monthly hormonal cycles. So an average full monthly cycle for a woman is about 28 days, meaning you'd get a period every 28 days. Now, that cycle, it naturally can, vary a little bit. Anywhere between 24 and 35 days is considered normal. So like getting a period every 24 days or every 35 days. That is still normal. However, the average for women is every 28 days getting a period. So basically, now in our modern age, we've kind of come to the conclusion that women are different than men, and most of the clinical studies are done on men. And even animal studies, they're mostly done on male animals. Why? Because they don't want to have to take into account the confounding factors that our fluctuating hormones can cause. So if you've heard of cycle syncing, which is basically adapting, what I said in the beginning, adapting your exercise, your activity levels, your diet to your hormones to optimize. If you've heard people say, well, there's really not evidence for that, that's really not a science-based method, it's because they don't do studies on women. This has just really not been studied because there's not really been any, pressing financial reason or big emphasis to actually pay for studies to study this. However, we know as women that this works. There are thousands and thousands of women that are implementing this in their own life. I can say from my own experience with my own body and my own life, and also with all of my female clients that we implement this. This absolutely is a thing, and it absolutely works. So sometimes in our modern world, we just have to say, okay, maybe there's not a ton of, double-blind scientific studies that have been done on this yet. However, we as women, in our wisdom and our knowledge, we know that this works. And every woman that I've ever explained this to has been like, oh my goodness, it makes so much sense. All my female clients that I personal train, for example, everyone has told me, oh yeah, there's this time of the month where I just kind of, there's always that week out of the month where I just don't have the same energy that I normally have. So normally I feel good, I can do a certain amount of weight, I'm strong. And then inevitably there's that one week where I'm tired and I don't have the same amount of energy. And I just feel like a failure because, all the good work I've done the rest of the month, suddenly it's gone and out the window and I just want to lay on the couch and eat carbs. And we really think something's wrong with us because men don't go through these phases. There's nothing wrong with us. This is completely normal. So the most empowering thing that I've ever done as a woman is to learn what are those 4 monthly phases that my body and my hormones are going through every single month and apply it. to my life and tailor my workouts and my diet accordingly. Life-changing stuff. Life-changing stuff. And so why does this matter? So I'm talking about hormonal fluctuations, how we have 4 different phases every month that we go through where our hormones are different. So a different hormone comes out to play in each phase. But why does this make things change for us? Well, it's because each hormone has unique needs. It has its own needs. So the phase where estrogen comes out to play, where estrogen is the most prominent, estrogen has a completely different personality than, say, progesterone, our other main female sex hormone. So when progesterone comes out to play, we have different needs, different energy levels, even different kind of moods and facets of our personality that are present in progesterone that are not present in estrogen. And this is the other reason why women, we kind of get, labeled as maybe we have multiple personalities. Have you ever heard that? Or been accused of that? Maybe we're a little different at different times of the month. So knowing ourselves, knowing where we're at, tracking our cycles, or, even if you've already gone through menopause or don't have a cycle, this still applies to you because you still have the same female hormones. They still have the same cyclical needs. You've still spent many, many years cycling every month through the same process. So this still applies to you. So knowing the different needs of our different hormones, we can support them accordingly. So what does that tell us? That tells us we're not supposed to be doing the same thing all month long, day in and day out. So that diet that maybe you were on, that you were doing the same thing every single day, all month long, again and again, that's not the best for you. It might have been adequate for certain periods of the month. It might have worked well for certain phases of the month, but it's not going to be the best thing for you all month long, just continuously. Same with your exercise. That exercise plan that you're following that's the same all month long, different hormones have different needs. There are certain times when you should be going hard. There are certain times when you should be going easy. Let me tell you, this is like the biohack of a lifetime if you're a woman. And again, even if you've already gone through menopause, you still have these same hormones with these same hormonal needs. So knowing this will change your life. So let me teach you more about what those 4 phases are and how you can tailor your diet and your exercise and your lifestyle to those 4 phases. So here are the basics you need to know. I kind of laid it out already a little bit. Phase 1 is estrogen. This is basically, if you have a period, this is day 1 of your period, day 1. Otherwise, if you don't have a period, you can pick like the first day of the calendar month or whenever you want. The point is to just pick a day and get in a pattern. But if you are cycling and you have a period, this would be the first day that you bleed. Now, this is day 1 through day 10. This is when estrogen starts to rise. So we want to support estrogen. So what's estrogen's personality? Well, she's outgoing, she's extroverted, she's friendly, she's also a little bossy. She can handle some stress. She can handle a good amount of exercise. So unless maybe the first couple days when your flow's the heaviest, you could go a little easier. But as you feel good, you can start doing more moderate to intense exercise. That's completely fine. And another key piece about estrogen is she does not like high blood sugar. So this is really an excellent time to keep your blood sugar low. Well, how do you do that? Well, don't eat a ton of carbs. Don't eat a ton of sugar. This is a great time of the month to do a more kind of like keto-ish style diet. I never follow a strict keto diet, certainly not all month long. But if you've done keto, this is a time to kind of go back on those keto tendencies, lower carbs, higher fat, high to moderate protein, kind of as a modified keto from day 1 to 10, 1 being the first day of your period. And moderate exercise as you feel, right? I honestly have been doing this a long time and I always feel good to work out on my period. My body's used to this now, so I usually do like a moderate intensity level of any type of exercise, weightlifting included. If I'm doing weights, which I'm always doing because I love weightlifting, that's something I'm doing at least 3 times a week. I'm doing about 10 to 12 reps. So I'm choosing a weight that I can do about 10 to 12 reps where I'm getting tired by those last couple reps and starting to feel the burn, and about 3 to 4 sets. So that's what I do during estrogen. Then after estrogen, so day 1 to 10 is estrogen. Then after estrogen is our ovulation phase. This is days 11 to 15. So somewhere in there is when we ovulate. And when we ovulate, estrogen actually comes to a peak, and that's when testosterone comes in. So as women, this is the time of the month when we're going to get a bump of testosterone. This is the time of the month when we have the most capacity to build muscle and build strength. So here, I find that it works better to bring back a little bit of carbs back into the diet. So kind of a more Mediterranean style diet. You're eating lots of veggies, you're having big green salads. This helps with healthy hormone metabolism since your hormones are peaking during this time. Of course, I bring in the protein because if I'm trying to build muscle, I'd need something to build muscle out of, right? It's protein is the raw material to build muscle. So eating between 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal and post-workout really helping me build muscle. And this is the time when I go heavy in the gym. This is the time where I pick a weight that I can only do about 5 to 8 reps per set with this weight because it's so heavy, and I go nice and slow. I focus on good form. Because the other thing about this time period between day 11 and day 15 of ovulation is we feel great, we're going to be strong, but our ligaments are a little bit looser. So we're going to be prone to those ligament injuries like ACL and meniscus tears. So don't do anything like HIIT or like side to side, plyometrics type training with lots of jumping or things like that, because you're actually more prone to injury during this phase. But your tendons are tighter, which is great for weightlifting. So I get out those heavy weights. This is the time of the month when I challenge myself. But the bonus is I feel stronger. We feel noticeably stronger during this time. So pay attention when you're in your ovulation phase. You're probably going to feel great. That's the time when we usually look and feel our best. We have great energy. Might feel a little more sexy, a little more feminine, and we're going to feel stronger. So really take advantage during ovulation phase. That's also a great time to do like projects and important things that require lots of energy or require you to be at your best. Ovulation phase is great for that. Then after ovulation, we go into a little bit of a dip where all of our hormones kind of dip low during this time. So I just call it the dip phase. Now, the dip phase is days 16 to 19. So it's just a 4-day window. This is pretty similar to what you're doing in estrogen. I like to go back to like a lower carb, kind of keto-ish. It's a good time to do intermittent fasting. So kind of reset your metabolism during this time. Intermittent fasting is obviously not eating overnight and into the morning, having at least 13 hours. Most people do a minimum of like 15 hours, between your last meal of the day, before your first meal the next day, of not eating. You can drink water, just to kind of reset your metabolism, and then sometimes doing longer fasts too if you get once you get used to it. And I will make a podcast just about intermittent fasting because that's something that I practice as well, and it warrants an entire podcast dedicated to it. But it is a good time when you're doing those lower carb phases like estrogen and dip phase. That is a good time to layer in that intermittent fasting. So again, that's one of those things that people ask me all the time. Do you like keto? Do you like intermittent fasting? Yes, but only at specific times of the month for women. Men can do it all month long, but for women, for us, only at specific times of the month. So during estrogen, which is days 1 through 10, and the dip phase, which is days 16 through 19. So here, you're out of the window. So I said during ovulation, you're a little more prone to ligament injuries and things like that. You're out of that window now. So you can go back to, if you want to do like HIIT training or, side to side things or plyometrics, things like that. You can go back to that. That's just fine. As far as weight training, I weight train all month long, but here I'm downing my weights a little bit. So I go back to a weight that I can do about 10 to 15 reps per set in about four sets. So that is the dip phase. And then finally, the fourth phase is progesterone. So this is day 20 to 28. Now, it will vary slightly. Obviously, if your cycle length is 29 days or 27 days instead of the average 28, then it's going to vary. So then it would be day 20 to 29 or day 20 to 27. So this all depends on you. But, going off of the average cycle, this is day 20 to 28. Basically, progesterone is the whole end of the month until you get your period again. Or if you're not cycling, then it would just be day 20 to 28 until you start the next month. So now progesterone is completely different than estrogen. And progesterone is the reason, I like to say the reason that all of those diets out there have failed us as women over the long term, things like intermittent fasting and keto and things like that do tend to work really well short term. But when we do them long term, often you hear, oh, my hormones got out of balance, or it worked for a few months really well, but then suddenly it stopped working and I plateaued, or I started like losing my hair, or, all those things that women who like do those strict diets long term might end up experiencing. Progesterone is the reason why, because you're not taking progesterone into account. So even if you did those other things all month long, don't do them in progesterone. So progesterone actually wants your blood sugar to be a little bit higher. She needs your blood sugar to be a little bit higher to come to a peak. Now, remember how I said estrogen was kind of like extroverted and outgoing and maybe a little bit bossy? She can handle stress, she can handle exercise. She's a go-getter. Progesterone is the opposite. She's more like an introvert. She's calm, she's shy, she's quiet, she likes to stay home on the couch. She doesn't like a lot of stress. In fact, she cannot handle stress. So, you got to take it easy during progesterone. No matter what you're doing the rest of the month, no matter how strong you are, I want you to take it easy during progesterone. This is our natural time to rest and recover. And if we do, our periods are a whole lot easier. We're less irritable. You see where I'm going with this. So basically, in progesterone, we bring carbs back in because she does need a little bit higher blood sugar to come to a healthy peak so we can have a healthy period. So work some carbs back in. That looks more like a Mediterranean style diet. And then I'm thinking more rest and recovery. I'm not trying to do anything that I need to just power through. There's other times of the month that are better for that. This is the time when, as much as I can, I don't schedule like stressful things or, big presentations or things like that, or lots of social engagements. I try and take it easy during this week because I know I'm not going to have as much energy. I'm not going to be as extroverted. I'm not going to have as much strength. So I still go to the gym, and that's me. I still lift weights, but I do much lighter weights and more reps. So when I'm doing my weightlifting, I'm choosing a light weight that I can do between 15 and 25 reps. So much lighter, and about 3 sets instead of 4. So I'm eating some carbs and I'm just taking it easier. Now, this is also a good time if you've ever heard of a deload week. So this is basically, and men do this too. This is like every month to 2 months taking a week off, or taking a week where you just really go easy, where you just go through the motions, but you do really light weights and you don't push yourself, to just kind of give yourself that break. Progesterone is like our deload week. We're going to take it easy during that week. And that can be really hard for some of us when we're very serious about sticking to a diet or sticking to a gym, like our gym workout routines. However, the body grows in rest. So know that this is one of the best things you can do for yourself, and you will come back stronger. Every single time, I promise you, after I've taken it easy during progesterone week, I come back in estrogen and I am strong, I'm rested, and I'm ready to go. That's the beauty of cycling, is because we're living in alignment with the wisdom of our body and our hormones. And when we do that, that's when we really thrive. So I think a lot of us are waking up to the fact that in general, we as human beings have created a society where it's pretty much not in alignment with our natural rhythms, with our natural innate way of being. If you think about, how humans have existed on this planet in alignment with cycles and rhythms and seasons, and hours of darkness and light. Our ancestors lived in accordance to that, with seasons and sunlight and things like that for thousands and thousands of years. But suddenly in our modern day society, we're indoors, we're in climate controlled environment, we're going off of a corporate schedule. It's not necessarily optimal for human beings, especially not for women, right? So I feel like this is a time where many women are starting to realize and reclaim, like, hey, I'm not thriving in this modern world. This modern world and modern schedule and modern way of living and even modern medicine doesn't vibe with my body and my innate wisdom. And that's why so many women are perishing and experiencing poor health and exhaustion and hormonal issues, to name a few things, in this modern world, is because we're out of alignment. And I think we as women on some level, we know that. We know that on a deep level. We have this, feminine intuition, this innate wisdom. And I think that's why when we start learning about our hormones and learning about how we're cyclical beings, it resonates with us and we think, oh, right, that's so true. Like there is that week where I have less energy and I'm more irritable and I kind of just want to hang out inside on the couch and watch Netflix. And then when I'm done, then I'm ready to go out and be more social. And then inevitably there's that time of the month when I'm stronger and I feel radiant and sexy and, I can go hard in the gym and I can lift weights. But now we understand that we don't need to be that all month long, and that there's nothing wrong with us, and that we naturally go through these phases. And it's when we accept ourselves and we support ourselves, who we are and where we're at in each of these phases, that's when we truly thrive. So I challenge you, if you have not tried this, if you have not looked into cycle syncing, women of any age, it doesn't matter if you don't have a cycle. So if you're younger and you don't have a cycle, you definitely want to try this because this will help bring your cycle back. Now, obviously, if you don't have a cycle because of birth control, that's another thing. Birth control is suppressing your hormones. However, you can still mimic a cycle, and you still should. That's the most optimal for our female bodies, right? And then same thing if you've already gone through menopause. Go ahead and mimic a cycle anyway. I mean, this is what I have my older clients doing, the ones who have already been through menopause. This is what I have my mom doing. Just pick a day on the calendar, have that be your day 1 through 10, do estrogen. And you can do that every month. But the important thing is to get in a cycle, because that's what our bodies really like. And that's what helps get us into balance and alignment. And that's where our hormones really thrive. So if you are cycling, one of the best things you can do is to get an app where you can track your cycle. And this makes it so much easier, because when I first started doing all this, I had no idea, right? We have a period and then we don't. And that's kind of all we tend to pay attention to. But now you can get an app. So I use the app Clue, and I just use the free version. But I track my cycle every month, so I know where I'm at, and that makes it really easy to count out, or you can write it down on the calendar, the different phases. And like I said, if you're not getting a cycle, or if it's irregular, this can help you sync back up and get regular. So just create and mimic the cycle, or if you are regular, go with a cycle that you already have and try this out. So if you need more information about this, I actually have a free downloadable PDF resource that I put together that details all of this, because it's, sometimes it's really helpful to have a visual. So you can go to my website, which is balancedhormonesvip.com, and you can click on resources and you can get that free resource. It's so helpful to follow. It makes it a lot easier. I basically have everything in there in writing that I just explained to you. So it's real easy, basic, simple, straightforward. So go ahead and check that out. And if this is something that you really want more help or more coaching with, that's exactly what I do. So then you can consider working with me or joining my women's VIP membership, which is Balanced Hormones Empowered Women VIP, where basically I give you my entire framework, everything you need to know, and all the coaching and support along the way in a community of supportive and like-minded women. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in.